Hey y'all, welcome back. This is the second video in a two-part training series on rest cycles. I'm Carly, founder of Full Expression Fitness, and I specialize in adventure sport performance and movement training. I want to thank you for joining me here. If you're watching, feel free to drop me a little hello in the comments. As I mentioned yesterday, I love hearing from you. It helps give me an idea of what you want to hear me talk about in the future. So again, I'm Carly, and this is part 2 in a two-part lesson on training rest cycles. So yesterday, we talked about rest cycle basics, like what a rest cycle is and who could benefit from completing a rest cycle. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, I encourage you to take a look at that video first, as it's the foundation for today's lesson, and then return here. So today we're going to talk about the essential parts of a rest cycle and how to craft one to accomplish your recovery and performance goals. So, in my opinion, there are 3 essential parts of every good rest cycle, and we're going to cover those now. And the first is a clear goal. So just like other training phases, you want to have a clearly defined goal. Like, what is the primary purpose of this rest cycle? Do you hope to heal an injury? Do you want to work on a weakness? Are you trying to recover from burnout? You gotta know why you're doing this in the first place. And I want you to remember that a rest cycle is not the same thing as time off, and this is something that we talked about yesterday. You are temporarily reducing or eliminating time spent doing a particular sport, but you do need to clarify to yourself why you're taking this rest cycle now. Like, without a purpose, without a goal, a rest cycle isn't going to do much more for you than time off will. Furthermore, goals, they help you with motivation, and they help lay a foundation for the structure of your program, which leads us to the second essential piece of a rest cycle. Using your goal as a guide, you're going to have to create a plan. And this plan should emphasize feel-good movement, skill building, and if necessary, rehabilitation. You'll also have to determine how long the rest cycle is going to last. And that's 1 to 3 months is a good time window, in case you're wondering. Central to this rest cycle training plan is a daily movement routine. So this daily movement routine should take 15 minutes to 1 hour to complete, and it should be done every single day. Yes, every single day. And so this means that the rest cycle routine must be energy giving, not energy taking. And I'll talk more about how to do that in a little bit. But first I want to talk about the third essential piece to a good rest cycle, and that is the prioritization of other health habits during the rest cycle. So even the most perfectly curated program, it's gonna fail to produce results if other health habits are not included in your plan. You must be willing to prioritize things like proper nutrition, hydration, and especially sleep if you want your rest cycle to work. So right now I'm going to give you a quick summary of the 3 essential parts of a rest cycle. So the first is a clearly defined goal. 2 is a plan, and central to this plan is a daily routine that focuses on movement skills, and it's got to be moderate enough to repeat every single day without depleting you. The third essential element is the prioritization of other health habits like nutrition and especially sleep. So what I want to do now is take you through a personal example to demonstrate what a rest cycle might look like. This winter, I outlined a 3-month-long rest cycle for myself. And my goal during this cycle was to build resilience in my left wrist, which had been causing me pain while climbing and doing hand balances. So I put a temporary pause on any climbing and hand balancing, and I came up with a daily routine to learn about my own movement choices and how they might be connected to my ongoing wrist pain. Throughout all of this, I chose to prioritize sleep over pretty much everything else. Like, even if it meant skipping my movement routine for that day, I would go to bed with at least 8 hours before my wake up time. And for the first month, I focused on lots of feel-good movements and proprioceptive skills. I did a lot of crawling, I did a lot of juggling and stretching, and I also engaged in simple wrist strengthening exercises, which I progressed in weight and difficulty over time. My daily movement routine was about 20 minutes in length. And despite time away from climbing and hand balancing, I was doing other complementary activities like forearm stands and head balances, though I made sure to keep the intensity really low. My primary concerns during this first month were sleep and just establishing the habit of my daily movement routine. And then in month 2, I had a bit of a breakthrough. I began to understand the habits that I had ingrained in my hand, shoulder, and rib cage that were causing unnecessary loading on my wrist. So at this point, it was really important for me to discover that even though I was experiencing pain in my wrist, the root cause of this pain could actually be traced to my hand and my shoulder. And as a result, I made subtle changes to this daily movement routine. I started to progress to things like planks, simple quadrupedal drills, and tumbling. And at this point, the daily movement routine took about 45 minutes to complete. And I'm now in the 3rd month, approaching the end of this rest cycle, and I've reintroduced climbing and hand balances, but at moderate intensities, low frequency, and I still practice my daily movement routine. It now takes about an hour, and it contains more complex exercises, but also more subtle ones. And after nearly 12 weeks of resilience building and movement awareness, I actually find that I have more strength and endurance in my wrists than ever before. And this is including high performance phases of climbing. And all of this was accomplished with a goal in mind, a movement routine that was approached with open curiosity, and some good sleep. So before I go, I want to answer a couple of questions from yesterday's viewers. These questions actually fit really well into today's lesson, so I'm hoping that y'all can benefit from hearing these answers as well. So here's question 1. If I'm crafting a rest cycle for one sport, what should I do about other sports? How do they fit into my plan? This is a really excellent question, especially because a lot of you are multi-sport athletes. And just because you're in a rest cycle for one doesn't mean you don't want to be doing another. So activities that are similar to the rest cycle sport are actually really great to do at low and moderate intensities. For example, if I'm taking a ski-focused rest cycle, going for a jog now and again is actually going to be really good for me. Activities that are much different can actually be done at a relatively high intensity, as long as they are not causing pain or creating deep fatigue. Personally, during my winter rest cycle, I deloaded my climbing and hand balances, but I did a whole bunch of skiing and figure skating. So thanks so much for that first question. We're going to move into the second one, which is, I think I might need a rest cycle because I'm experiencing pain when I do a particular exercise. So during my rest cycle, should I just avoid this exercise altogether? This is another really good question. And often when a specific exercise triggers pain, it's telling us something important about the way our body moves when we aren't thinking about it. I like to think of pain as a guide. What is the pain trying to tell us, and where is it trying to lead us? And furthermore, what other part of the body is it pointing towards? Pain serves as a really great teacher in this way. Like when the pain goes away, you know you address the root cause. If the pain is still there, you know it's time to try something different and look somewhere else in the body. Rest cycles, they're probably the best type of training cycle to explore what your pain is trying to tell you. As I mentioned yesterday, pain reduction and recovery from injury are really common goals to set for yourself during a rest cycle. So again, I want to thank you all for your thoughtful questions and insights. I do love having this be like more of an interactive forum instead of me just yammering at you for 15 minutes. So I want to give you a little bit of a summary now of what we talked about today. Today we focused on how to craft your own rest cycle. And remember that a good rest cycle is crafted with a specific goal in mind. It includes a daily movement practice that is approached with attention and intent, and it also includes other necessary health habits, things like nutrition and sleep. And I really hope you enjoyed this two-part training on rest cycles. I quite enjoyed creating these lessons, and I do sincerely hope that you walk away from them with a fresh and empowering perspective on how to get better at the sports that you love. At this point, you might still have questions, or you might be wondering how to implement these lessons into your own personal training plan. Lucky for you, I am offering a 4-week group course that is all about rest cycles. In a small group format, we will complete one full month rest cycle together. Taking a full month away from your favorite sport or training plan can feel kind of daunting, especially if you've never done anything like this before. And that's why I'm really excited to collaborate with a handful of people who are ready to rest and also progress as a team. This course begins next week. It has limited registration slots. Like I said, I want it to be a small group course. So if you are interested, please shoot me a message or let me know in the comments. I want to thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you on the mat.